call to order the License Committee meeting at 6:46. Okay. From the supplemental docket of November 21st, 2017, this is regarding State Line. I entertain a motion to approve the application for a 2018 renewal Class 2 license for State Line Auto Brokers.
Point of order. Sorry, you don't have to read that portion of it. You're just going to give us an update.
Okay, so here's the update. Councilor Parika, President Cook, and I met with the owners of State Line, along with their attorney. Oh, let's see. So we met, they acknowledged they're not in compliance. We met with their attorney. They have plans to present us with a new site plan, and actually Bill McDonough was there as well, the building commissioner. And they will have a new site plan available for us to come before the council on 12/12 for the license committee meeting. So it's just a quick little update. Councilor Conti?
Yeah, I have some questions. What did Bill McDonald say about the violation? Was there any lengthy discussion about the violation?
There was not lengthy discussion.
Was there any discussion about prior infractions by the applicant?
Well, we did have a little issue with the license application that we had, if you recall. Dear Councilor Parika, the license application that we had for our access said 42 parking spaces, display spaces, but then when we went back on the full application that I got a copy of, it's actually 42 plus 55, which that information was not in our packet at that time when we discussed it and had it in committee meeting and everything. So the owner had given me a copy of her application that says 42 plus 55, so that I had a copy made of the full application, so I have that now. Does that, there wasn't any lengthy discussion there. Mr. Casey said they're going to present us with a new site plan.
Okay. I'll surrender the floor for now until I hear something else that causes question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Was the application with 42 plus 55 submitted to the clerk?
Yes.
That's what was submitted?
For 2017 and 2018 renewal, it said 42 plus 55. We did not have that information.
Okay.
So
On the when you went to visit, in your estimation, were there more than 97 cars on that lot?
the back lot, we combined, we did not count, but I'd say yes.
And then across the street, did you visit the lot across the street?
We did. We visited the lot where their building is, and then the lot behind the the convenience store there.
Yep.
Which all had State Line dealer plates on them. There was quite a few.
So I'm just like, I'm perplexed at the 42 and 55 and.
I can answer that.
Needless to say, so were we when we were standing there and we were like.
If I may, Madam Chairman, this is their site plan for the corner of Turner and Washington that shows 42 cars. Okay, now flip the page.
I remember this, yeah.
Flip the page, and you'll see that is the site, no, another page. That is the site plan for Turner Street that shows 55 cars. And where you see my red writing at the bottom there, that was solid automobiles. So I would say there was more than 42 plus 55. Yes. I'm guessing that there was like another 100 cars in that back lot.
If I may.
So,
follow up. When you have,
can I just ask Councilor Conti? May I ask?
Sure.
Councilor Conti? So, this, is this the date?
That's the date. And that was all cars. This was all cars, this is all cars, 5 deep. The center of the island was all cars, so all I could do is maneuver my car narrowly in between cars. Got it? Mm-hmm. And I went around once and out into State Line Scrap. This
Yep.
gate was open.
Yeah. No
So,
circulating that.
so this is the lottery building.
That's
And they
right.
had the cars stacked up behind it, right tight up against the building, right tight up against the fence, all the way to that aisleway in the middle.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson Dolan. So I believe the intent of this meeting right now is just to give you a very pleasant update that we did meet. There'll be more information forthcoming as it is presented at the committee meeting next week. So, there may be questions that you have currently that can be put on hold until next week when we have representatives from everywhere to be able to
Donald will be
hear,
here, Ed Casey
to
will be
answer those
here.
questions. What I can say is that when, during the site visit, yesterday, there were no vehicles in that subsequent lot.
Wow.
So, what is terrific about that is that when I was acting licensed chair, I made three requests of them. I asked them to have a new engineered site plan drawn up, contact their attorney, and move their cars. They've done all 3. So I have the expectation that things will be on the right path next week when they're here. So bring all of your questions, and now that it is clear where it's supposed to be, and they admittedly were over their number, they spoke freely about that, and they are doing what they can to become within compliance, and we would be able to file an amended site plan.
Excellent.
Would that be?
Right, they intend to have all the information on the 12th. When Bill McDonough and Ed Casey will be here as well. Any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Any other questions from anybody else? Okay, so, let me fix that. Do you have the correct address on yours? It should be 1115. Do you have that?
1111-1115 Washington.
Okay.
That was, if I may,
Also
Chairwoman,
known
that was
as map 3, lot 8 on the assessor's map.
in the communication that came to the committee with regards to that, the address was incorrect, so Ms. Dolan is making a change to that as well.
Okay, so I entertain a motion to adjourn the License Committee meeting at 6:54.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
And we are.
Motion passes, we're adjourned.
Great, so I'm going to start and open the Committee on Zoning and Land Use at, let's see, 6:55, looks like, huh? Or at 6:55. Oops, I got a bad pen. And on my committee are Councilors Jackson and Councilors Cooper. Thank you. Just took a little twist in here. So I do have one motion for the committee to vote out tonight, should we? From the docket of November 7th, 2017, I entertain a motion to approve a letter of non-opposition from the Attleboro Municipal Council to Catherine Committee. Hopefully I got your name right. Thank you. President and CEO of Beacon Compassion Center, 900 Washington Street, Suite A, Norwood, Mass., relative to locating a marijuana establishment at 30 Franklin McKay Road, Attleboro, Massachusetts.
Second.
Second? Second. Okay, so I've got a second from Councilor Jackson. So let's go back 9 months ago to when we first started the process and worked our way through just to BCWC and what we started off with. And we sort of refined the process, and hopefully I have all the documents I need. So all we're doing right now is giving a letter of non-opposition so that this business can start the process that they need to start with the state. So an application, if you would, has not been submitted yet, so no clock starts to tick or any of that kind of stuff. This simply starts the process. Hold on. This simply starts the process. And if you would look at the items that I have given to you, and everybody has a copy because I wanted everybody to see so we wouldn't have to go through it again. The things that we require in order to do this, that I owe you as a council, are two things in particular. The building inspector reviews the application's address and then sends to me a letter, email, that says, you know, they are in compliance or not in compliance for the address that they have submitted to us. So you see that from Bill McDonough. The second thing that's required is our copy of the host agreement that was signed so that we can, you know, that we know that we have both of those, so both of those things are already done. So we don't want to go forward and give a letter of non-opposition without knowing that there's already been a host agreement signed. So we have those two items also. Just so you know, and we could get into a lengthy conversation. I'm prepared to get into a lengthy conversation if we have to, but while we're doing all of this, things have changed. There's been already new rules and regulations coming down from the state just on medicinal marijuana. The the Cannabis Control Commission has actually been in place, and they're in the process of writing still the recreational marijuana law. So those have not been written yet, you know, and we are going forward and making decisions based on things that are fluid. So there has been a change to what we can do here locally. Remember, if you remember from the first host agreement, there was sort of a graduating percentage of sales. That can no longer be done because the state has capped us at 3%, correct? 3% tax, yes, okay. So, just so you know, and again, we can talk about some of those things if you want, but that's the best way that I can describe it. So I was sort of anticipating a question of why is this host agreement different than the last host agreement, and that's the reason why. In the meantime, certain legislative requirements came down that capped us at a certain discussion, if you would, with the applicant. President Cook.
Thank you, Council Hall. I just wanted to make a friendly amendment or correction where it says a marijuana establishment. It should actually say locating a registered marijuana dispensary, because the marijuana establishment is actually the language used in Mass General Law, Chapter 94, for recreational marijuana, and yet this is a medical marijuana dispensary. So this should just, again, we need to change marijuana establishment to registered marijuana dispensary. They're not licensing marijuana establishments yet in the state.
Right, okay.
So
I'll accept that.
Okay.
For the amendment, yeah.
Second.
And it's been seconded. So, I mean, do we first have to
well,
vote on
you
that?
just accept it as a friendly amendment.
Okay, so that's good. Okay, registered
It's
marijuana
just-
dispensary.
It's just more a typo more than anything else, I would say.
And I-
And then you just have to vote it out of committee.
Yep, so now we're going to do that. Sorry, I did have to change pens. Any other questions from my committee members?
Who seconded that, if I may ask?
Jackson, Councilor Jackson. Yes.
Just some comments relative to the, not necessarily the host agreement, I read that today, thank you for sending that, but the comments from the inspection department, what might be helpful given our last challenges is a more descriptive response in terms of, it just says proper zoning district. How far away is it from the existing one? How
Okay, sorry, I can answer that, why that doesn't, because this is just saying that it is in the proper zoning, and because they will do a more complete analysis of all of those things when the application and the actual site designs get turned in, if that makes sense what I'm saying.
Yes, it does. That provides clarity, but can I say it a different way?
Mm-hmm.
So this by physical address is within the proper zoning district, but He's not specifically not commenting on any of the other details or conditions in a special permit because there is no application.
That is correct.
Thank you.
That is correct. And so why don't we want that to happen? We don't want that to happen yet because they can't move forward with the application, and we don't want them to move forward with the application until we've given the letter of non-opposition, because then what happens is, once they put an official application in, our clock starts to tick as to when we have to make a decision. So in essence, we're really giving ourselves the proper amount of time to do that due diligence, if you would, on the applicant. So thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. And I didn't mean to,
No, that's,
That makes it clear.
yes. Any other questions? Okay. Given no further questions, all in favor?
aye.
Okay, so that's 0 nays, the motion passes. And that is all that I have for the Zoning and Land Use Committee. I will close the committee at 7:01, exactly 7:01 and 25 seconds. So there you go. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
We're yes. Are you? Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome. I just wanted,
Yeah, thanks, because I, yeah.
Your question made it a lot clearer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
oh, plus I didn't want,
Seemed much to me the way we're doing it. The way we're doing it this way.
oh, plus we, like, rode this
Tell him.
horse before.
All right. Call the regular meeting of the Municipal Council for Tuesday, December 5th, 2017 to order at 7:15. I would ask you please stand and join in a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Again, just a reminder to those in attendance, as well as council members, to please turn off or mute your cell phones and other electronic devices as it interferes with our broadcast to other parts of the city. This time I would entertain a motion to approve the records of the meeting of February 21st, 2017.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Any concerns or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. I entertain a motion to approve the records of the meeting of April 4th, 2017.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Any concerns or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. I entertain a motion to approve the records of the meeting of June 20th, 2017.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Any concerns or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
There are no public hearings that are scheduled for this evening, so we'll go right to the reading of the mayor's communication.
December 5th, 2017. Dear Municipal Councilors, as you may recall, on June 20th, 2017, vote number 3, your honorable body approved an easement for the relocation of a drainage pipe and land donation from Cumberland Farms at their 220 Pleasant Street location. Cumberland Farms has submitted a revised notice of easement relocation for this drainage pipe. A revised easement has been approved as to form by City Solicitor Lauren Galvin. Therefore, I respectfully request that your honorable body accept the revised drainage pipe easement relocation. Copies in your packet.
Public Works Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Acting Superintendent of Water, Paul Kennedy, regarding the need for funds to conduct a mixing/aeration study for management reduction in Attleboro's Oars Pond. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $31,900 from account Water Enterprise Fund retained earnings to account Water Enterprise Fund professional services. Copies in your packet.
Public Works Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Veterans Services Ken Bodisher regarding the donation of $200 in Stop and Shop gift certificates from Len Rathman. In accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, I hereby request your honorable body to accept these generous donations to the City of Attleboro. Copies in your packet.
City Property and Claims Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Veterans Veterans Services Ken Bodisher regarding the donation of $200 in Stop and Shop gift certificates from an anonymous donor. In accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, I hereby request your honorable body to accept these generous donations to the City of Attleboro. Copies in your packet.
City Property and Claims Committee, please.
I respectfully submit for confirmation by your honorable body the appointment of Wendy Foster of 48 Sandalwood Drive to fill an unexpired term on the Attleboro Council on Human Rights. Term to expire February 2019. Copies in your packet.
Personnel and Human Services Committee, please.
Sincerely, Kevin J. Dumas, Mayor.
And the other communications, please.
Communication date November 27, 2017, from PERAC, PERAC, relative to the required fiscal year 2019 appropriation of $7,160,872. And members were given copies.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was just going to say copy to all members.
Communication from John P. and Marsha J. Brady and Eugene Kursipinski requesting that a joint public hearing relative to the rezoning petition for 829 and 839 Newport Avenue scheduled for Tuesday, December 19th, 2017, to be continued to Tuesday, January 16th, 2018.
Zoning and Land Use Committee, please.
Communication from the Inspector of Buildings relative to State Line Auto Brokers, 115 Washington Street, Attleboro, Mass.
License Committee, please.
Communications dated 11/28/2017 from Mark S. Levita, 34 Turner Street, relative to a complaint against Old School Auto Sales, 187 Cumberland Avenue, Attleboro, Mass.
License Committee, please.
Petition from National Grid, 280 Melrose Street, Providence, Rhode Island, relative to the installation of a new 40-foot pole with anchor and guy wire approximately 71 plus / minus from pole number 8122 Handy Street for the purpose of extending electrical services to the house at 156 Handy Street.
Public Works Committee, please. And Councilor Jackson, this matter requires a public hearing. Would you like to call for a public hearing on Tuesday, December 19th?
And that's a great idea. Yes, it's a great public hearing on December 19th. That's going to be a busy night.
It is. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. That hearing will be on December the 19th. And that's it for the other communications, I believe. Before you go on, I wanted to mention in all of your mailboxes, you did receive one of these preventing elder financial abuse. I was meeting yesterday with Madeline McNeely, the Director of the Council on Aging, and this notice, so just so you can pass this along to any of your constituents, for those who are watching at home. I believe there was already something in the newspaper about this particular upcoming event. But this is a seminar that is going to be held at the library on December 14th. So that is a week from this coming Thursday at 4:30 in the afternoon. They do ask you to RSVP to the Council on Aging. If they have any questions, they can check in with the Council on Aging, but there will be a representative from the District Attorney's Office there, as well as from the South Coastal Counties Legal Services. So the reason they're doing this, there is a tremendous amount of, we read about periodically in the paper, a tremendous amount of abuse involving elders in the area of financial exploitation. So this is just a seminar on that that's being presented by Webster Bank. So you can get that word out to any of your constituents, or if anybody calls you about it, now you have some more details about it. So I just want to make sure you all had a copy of that. Okay? Thank you. This time I would entertain a motion to go into the Committee of the Whole.
Second?
Thank you. The motion is in order. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We are now in the Committee of the Whole. If there's anyone here who has business to bring to the attention of the Municipal Council involving city matters, now would be the appropriate time. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to arise.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We're now back to the regular schedule. So we're on to the committee reports, and we'll begin the committee reports, as always, with my left, Councilor Delicio.
President Cook. Reporting for Ordinances, Elections, Legislative Matters Committee. We have several motions this evening from the docket of August 15th, 2017. I move to strike the following item from the docket of August 15th, 2017, to amend the revised ordinance of the City of Attleboro, Section 1-9.1, time and place of municipal council meetings, amended 10-1-13, striking the measure following the regularly scheduled meetings of the municipal council shall be held on the first and third Tuesdays of each month. Said revisions to take effect January 1st, 2018.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
Nope, we discussed all of these in committee last week.
Okay. Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, this matter requires a voice vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
No. The motion passes on 10-1.
Thank you, President Cook. From the docket of August 15th, 2017, I move to strike the...
Okay, point of order. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I was so looking forward to having 11 people here tonight for the first time in a long time. Thank you for that correction. So it did pass on a 9-1. There was nobody else who voted nay, correct? Thank you for that correction. I appreciate it. If I, before we go on, just as a point of order, I know that there are a number of items to strike tonight, and I'm thinking that on On some of these where there's a long list, I'm thinking like, for example, in transportation, it might be advisable in some cases if you feel that, since they were running committee last week, it would be more appropriate to not reread it all over again. Just let me know at the appropriate time. I meant to say that before we began, so. So again,
Sure, thank you.
Counselor.
From the docket of August 15th, 2017, I move to strike the following item from the docket of August 15th, 2017, to amend the Attleboro Municipal Council Rules of Procedure as follows. Article 3, Section 1, Regular Meetings, 3-1.1, striking the measure following regular meetings of the Municipal Council shall be held on the first and third Tuesdays of each month. Said revisions to take effect January 1st, 2018.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
None.
Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll have a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
The motion passes 9-1.
Thank you. From the docket of August 15th, 2017, I move to strike the following item from the docket of August 15th, 2017, to amend the Municipal Council Rules of Procedure, Section 4, Duties of Council Members, Section 4-4.5, as follows. New business must be presented to the Council Administrative Assistant by the regular meeting where the business is to be presented. When the subject matter of which affects only one ward, the council member from the ward concerned shall be notified by the sponsoring council member and afforded the opportunity to be its co-sponsor.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
Again, we talked about this in committee last week.
Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
9 yeas, 1 nay. The motion passes.
From the docket of August 15th, 2017, I move to strike the following item from the docket of August 15th, 2017, that the Attleboro Municipal Council Rules and Procedure Articles 7, Standing Committees and Special Committees, Section 7.1.3, Committee on Budget and Appropriations, be amended as follows. Whose purpose shall be to review the city budget and present it to the council for a vote within 45 days of mayoral submission, set the city tax rate, tax split annually by the end of the third week in November, evaluating transfers affecting the budget between accounts and departments, evaluating appropriations and special financial measures and motions after the budget is approved. This committee will interact with the accounting, budget, and administration, treasurer, auditor, assessor, collector, mayor's office.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
Again, no, we discussed it in committee.
Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion 10 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of February 7th, 2017, I move to strike the following item from the docket of February 7th, 2017, to add the phrase ride-sharing services, including Lyft and Uber, where appropriate, to sections of 9-11 and 9-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to define hackney carriage. Furthermore, to review those sections are written in to ensure the appropriate inclusion of ride-sharing services such as Lyft and Uber, so those services may be safely provided to the residents of the City of Attleboro.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
Nope, we discussed this in committee as well.
Thank you. Are there any other concerns or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? 10 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes.
From the docket of August 18th, 2016, I move to strike the following item from the docket of August 18th, 2016, that sections 5-1.2 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro powers and duties amended for April 3rd, 2008 be amended by deleting that section in its entirety and replacing it with the following. I would request a reading, waive the reading on this.
I will agree to that.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
We discussed this last week as well.
Okay. Are there any other concerns or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
9 yeas, 1 nay. The motion passes.
Thank you. And finally, from the docket of November 4th, 2014, I move to strike the following item from the docket of November 4th, 2014, legal opinion dated August 15th, 2014, from attorney Brandon H. Moss to Jeremy Denley relative to the proposed amendment to the Hackney Carriage Taxi Order.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
Nope, just housekeeping.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other concerns or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 10 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes.
Thank you, President Cook. That concludes the business for elections, ordinances, elections, legislative matters. We'd like to call for a meeting next week at the appropriate time.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Hall.
Yes.
Thank you, Jessica.
You're
From
welcome.
Zoning and Land Use Committee, from the docket of November 22nd, 2016. I move to adopt the following amendment to the zoning ordinance in accordance with general laws, Chapter 4A, Section 5, and Section 17-1.6 amendment of the zoning ordinance. Be it ordained by the Municipal Council of the City of Attleboro that the zoning ordinance be amended as follows. The petition from the Attleboro Planning Board to amend Section 17-10 special regulations by inserting Section 17-16.0 signs with amendments through June 27th, 2017. I see the attached, and may I waive the reading of the entire ordinance all again, sign ordinance again, since it was already read, I think, a few times.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. I just want to check. Could you get the minute just for a second?
Yes.
I just want to check. I thought there was one part we had to read. You did that?
If I may.
Just hold on one second.
Yeah.
I just want to check to see if, I thought there was one part. Is there any part of that she has to read?
No, I think it was read into the record. As long as
It
it's
was.
in the record, you can go to
Okay.
different sections and.
Oh, I wasn't sure if there was something new that had been changed. Councilor Parika? I thought there was
I was under
something.
the impression that there was some language changes that were
Right.
hammered out,
It's
and then
underlined in the ordinance.
Okay, so what was requested, if I may?
Yes,
If I may?
yes.
What was requested and what we agreed upon was that there would be an ordinance, and in the ordinance, it would be pointed out where those corrections were to be made in the ordinance. That was done, and that was supplied to you. It's, I have to say, it's a little bit, go ahead.
But it was read into the record.
Yes.
Okay. Councilor
Yes.
Parika?
We
Yeah,
read,
thank you.
I can read the whole thing then.
That's not,
No.
if I may,
Yes.
I don't think that that's necessary. I think that at the end of the meeting last week, and I believe that we received a communication with the language kind of cleaned up from last week, and that it would have to be read into the record, but if,
I don't
I'm
mind
certainly
reading it.
not going to have a,
I think this was under 16.3 A and B, correct?
You know what? I have no problems reading the entire ordinance.
I don't want you to read the entire ordinance because it's
We got the ones underlined?
it's rather late. I have a part that's underlined.
Yeah, that is correct. There is everybody has the same thing.
Right.
Everybody has the same ordinance, it's underlined, and it says on top of it, revised November 29th, and that is underlined. And that signifies that the,
Right. Okay, thank you.
I do have,
Okay. Everybody has that?
I do have.
Okay. So again, I know everybody received a copy of it. I just want to make sure that it was read. I thought it was read in committee.
I read the entire ordinance in committee,
Right.
and we did read all
And
the
then we did the
amendments.
other-
in
the amendments
committee
also. I do recall that. Councilor Parika, do you have a question on that? or-
no, I do not, sir. Thank you.
Just let me
And
just,
I believe it was Councilor Cooper who did ask, if we could have something where it showed all the amendments in the ordinance where they would appear, and I agreed that's probably the best thing to do, is show all those amendments that we did discuss and vote out, how they appeared in the actual ordinance themselves, and that was done. That is what you see in front of you right now. I have to tell you, it is a little bit, it was done in color, but
Yeah.
the color printer broke. This is the one.
these are the parts, if you're looking, it starts on the bottom of page 1 of the attachment,
Yep.
17-16.3.
Look at
It's A
page
and
2.
B,
If you look at
and it
page
continues on
2,
to page 2.
you will see all those lines.
Right.
The one I have does not have that.
Doesn't have the lines.
Oh, okay.
The one,
Sorry.
Mr. Cooper and I have the same, or I don't have lines, you have lines.
I'll tell you what.
They came out with the
just to-
second copy.
right.
Did you get it?
Yeah, I think when the updated copy came out, that not everybody, I don't think it was underlined in that one. What I'm going to ask Council Hall to do, just so that we're clear on this and everybody knows, I'm going to ask Council Hall if she would just read 17-16.3,
You got it?
A and D, if you would, and I'm just trying to see if there's anything else here. And then, this was the part, the critical part that was based on some of the feedback of the public hearing.
Sure.
So Councilor Hall, if you don't mind.
Okay, so 17-3, section 17-3.
17-16.
I'm looking right at it and saying what you just said. Section 17-16.3, administration, item A. The contents of section 17-16.0, signs establishes sign standards that satisfies the general intent and purposes established in section 17-16.1, intent and purpose. Though they are intended to establish parameters, they may be flexibly administered given the diverse and disparate nature of the sign due to the peculiarities of the sign or cluster of signs, and as there are a variety of types of land uses and the relationships between them. The application of the standards herein may result in, for example, a sign/cluster of signs with either ineffective, inefficient, insufficient, or excessive regulation. Therefore, the Board of Appeals may permit variations by special permit without limiting the generality of Section 17-16.3 administration. The Board of Appeals may allow variations from the sign regulation herein by special permit if it finds that such departure is more likely to satisfy the intent set forth herein. Then B, whenever the Board of Appeals allows or requires a variation from a standard set forth herein, it shall specifically reference in the special permit the requirements that it imposes and also state the reasons for allowing or requiring such variation. Okay, so there is,
Thank you for reading
the
that.
first one. There's also a change in the table of rules.
The last page.
If I may, does anybody have any questions on what was just read? Okay. Thank you.
If you look at page, excuse me.
11.
Thank you. Page 11, window signs. You can see that that's been stricken.
On page 11, also, if you look at it. All right. It was the last item on that particular page. I also wanted to mention, by the way, that with the addition of 16.3, the numbers on the succeeding sections all were adjusted accordingly. So, for example, definitions moved from being 17-16.3 to 17-16.4, which is, and so forth, up to number 8, I believe it is. So, Councilor Cooper.
Council Hall, if I may.
Yes.
The other one change is on page 10.
Yeah, and I think there's a small, is it
It's just a small.
wall signs?
Yes.
Yeah, I have that, yes. So if you look at one of the following signs shall be permitted, and you see underlined per street frontage per business, that was something, an issue that came up too. It's because I think the original was there would be one sign on the building, and we did discuss that every side of the building would be able to have one of those signs. It's pretty much what this says. Okay, thank you. So just to recap, the changes are on page 2, page 10 under wall sign, and then on page 11 under window sign.
Thank you. Are there any concerns or comments or questions at this time? Councilor Perico?
So, first and foremost, I'd like to thank Ms. Hall for all of your hard work and work with the planning board and Gary and everybody else that's been involved with regards to this. I'm going to keep my comments brief. I appreciate the calisthenics that took place last week to make some changes that were discussed during the public hearing, brought forward by a constituent. And I'm exceptionally grateful for that. And there were portions, as specifically, I believe, I spoke with Gary afterwards, and he enjoyed my watermelon smile over the window sign being struck. However, I'm glad that those circumstances were remedied for the constituent, but I personally, as an advocate for business, find that this tends to be slightly too restrictive still. And as Gary has come in front of us and spoken to us before, that you have to vote with your conscience. So unfortunately, I will not be able to support this in its entirety, though I do appreciate the hard work.
Well, thank you, and thanks for the comments. And I know we've talked about this a lot, and then the other thing is to keep, and I think I said originally when we started this, and I sat right there and kind of said, oh boy, this is going to be a long one, is I was looking for a compromise to try to get this thing moved off the plate, if you would, to a point where we could at least be able to say, yep, it's a good start, with the acknowledgement that there will be some changes that will need to be made as we go through. And I guess that's the perspective that I'm coming from, is I realize it's not, and it isn't, and fair enough that it isn't a, 99 or even probably an 80% of it, but it is, and I thank you for your comments, it is a Herculean piece of work that the planning board put together to get us there. So I guess my only comment would be if you can feel that there is an opportunity to have this thing modified as we go along to do that, then I would say, you probably would feel comfortable. If you feel like it just needs to, and I'm not sure what the message would be going back to the planning board, because I know that they probably said they did look at every concern. But the message is that you feel it's too restrictive, then you should vote no, if you feel it's too restrictive. Okay, so.
Thank you. Are there any other, Councilor Delazio? I'm sorry, Councilor.
Nope, I'm good. I was thinking, nothing. I was taking over your meeting, I'm sorry.
So Councilor Delazio's hand first, and then Ms. Reynolds. So Councilor Delazio, and then Councilor Reynolds.
Thank you, President Cook. I echo a lot of Mrs. Parika's sentiments on this. When I look at an ordinance that's 13 pages long, to me that's very restrictive, especially when we're talking about being business friendly. I think if we're going to regulate signs, we should be regulating it from a safety perspective, not, lettering on a wall and telling landlords and landowners what they can put on their walls, what they can't. I think that sends the wrong message to businesses. Personally, I do appreciate the work of the planning board. I spoke with Gary before the meeting this evening to let him know where I was coming in on this. I will not be supporting this as I find it too restrictive. And, Councilor Hall, if I may, I agree. I think that we are probably, I don't want to push an ordinance through knowing it's not 100% where it needs to be, to then go back and revisit it. I don't think that's probably the most prudent use of this council's time. I would rather see us get an ordinance on the book, get it right the first time. So that's why I will not be supporting this tonight.
Councilor Reynolds.
So I was one of the ones that thought it was really restrictive, and I agree to some degree that it's still fairly restrictive, but I like both words, Herculean and the calisthenics that happened last week. So I think everybody went out of their way to make it somewhat less restrictive. And I think that Gary made a really valid point in that he said that within the year, he would come back to us with all of the either complaints or special permits, and from there, and we could always ask for it sooner. We could ask for it within 6 months if we chose to. So I think based on all the work that's been done, that this is reasonable, that this is something that I would suggest we should pass it, and that we're allowing ourselves lots of opportunity for change if we find that the businesses complain, which they may not. But if we don't put it on the books, then we've got nothing to go by. So we're at least giving ourselves something to follow through on, and then we'll have our own planning board come back and let us know if they've received complaints. And I think that gives us an ample opportunity to say, hey, then that's not working. So I will be supporting this.
Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Councilor.
Thank you. I agree with Councilor Reynolds. It's not perfect, but it's a reasonable compromise. And adding the special permit piece, which I think was big for all of us, an opportunity for a business to present a case for an exception to or a special permit to go outside of the ordinance is a reasonable accommodation to the request. And as I hate to throw your words at you, Councilor Parika, but you always say they're the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro for a reason, so I'm going to throw that right back at you tonight.
And I'm catching it.
So I do appreciate and sort of having this right in the forefront, the last couple of months driving around and actually seeing some of the signs, those flags on the poles that are waving in the new places and you can't see pulling out onto Route 1 from May Street. There are things that we need to get a handle on, and I think this ordinance will do it for new businesses. It won't fix that problem, but it'll fix things going forward, so I am going to support it.
Thank you. Councilor Conti, which one? Councilor Conti, then Councilor Hall. Thank you.
So, Mr. President, I'll be supporting this measure because I believe that without it, we're going to continue to be surprised by the signs being erected in the city. If we don't have any regulations in place, it gives free rein to corporations and business owners who do not reside in the city to have a free hand at creating whatever structure they wish. And we've seen this happen in the city repeatedly in the past. So I don't find this particular ordinance to be so restrictive that it should fail. I find this sign ordinance to be an excellent first effort. And I give you kudos, Councilor Hall, because as Councilor Reynolds said, there have been generations of councils before you that did not tackle this effort. Generations of councilors that were afraid of it. And I respect you for taking it on. And I thank you. And that concludes my comments.
Councilor
Hall.
Hall, or did you want to?
Go ahead,
I'm
you
going
can.
to go to Councilor Blair, and then I'll come back to Councilor Hall's, the last word.
Being business orientated myself, coming from private business, I believe in property owners' rights and whatnot. But we hashed it over pretty much. And there is an avenue if you have a problem to go for exemption or appeal a variance. That was important to me. And I think we addressed some issues that shouldn't have been in there, that are now not in there. I will be supporting it because of those reasons. There is an avenue to go before the board to get an appeal process passed. And also, if they come back, they're going to come back to us. And if we think at that time that it is too restrictive, we've had too many complaints from businesses, then as Mr. Cooper said, the revised ordinances, that was there for a purpose. And we can relook at it. But at first, I looked at this ordinance, I said it is too restrictive. But I think some of the real restrictive items like window signs and the signs on the side of the building, that to me was too restrictive. And we got that taken care of with the cooperation of the planning department. So I will be supporting.
Thank you. Councilor Parika.
Thank you, President Cook. I agree. I don't question how hard people worked on this, and it doesn't necessarily, it's not, I guess what my concern with regards to this is that we have these caveats in place that Gary, as we know he'll come back in whatever time frame we decide we need him to come back. I guess where my point of concern is what's the damage that gets done with our local businesses in the meantime. You know, customer service is a top priority here, and there's constant, I receive constant commentary about how challenging it can be, or how many hoops people have to jump through and the things that they need to do to be able to just open their business, and having to add another piece to that because the sign that they would like doesn't necessarily conform to a particular area or things like that. That's where my hesitation with this is the damage that can be done, or the bad reputation, or the challenges that could happen in between the here and the then, between now and the zoning and things like that. So that's why I will maintain not supporting this for that, but I don't want anyone to think for 5 seconds that I don't appreciate the work that has gone into all of this. And the give back that we got last week, again, I very much appreciate that, but it's that interim time in a year. What happens to, like, so if Gary comes back in a year and we decide we're going to change this in a year, how many sign applications do we have that had to then go and have a special permit created? So that's my area of concern for this particular piece of business. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Hall.
One of the things, I do believe Gary did say that if he did see some outrageous amounts of things happening, that he would come immediately to us. I do believe he said that. If I didn't hear that correctly, I apologize that I didn't hear that correctly, but I believe he did. The second thing is I'd like to make comment about the 100% complete ordinance. I don't think, if you can do a 100% complete ordinance the first time, that's great, but I think most of the ordinance that we've done here, we've tried to do the best that we could and make them as fair as we could. And in this particular one, we've tried to make a compromise that I thought when we discussed the compromise, because I know that we've been talking about compromises for other issues that some of us felt very strongly about, and we all agreed that a compromise in certain issues was the right way to go. I almost only felt that I felt as though I would be given the same latitude here on doing that. So that's one of my comments about that. So, like I said, it's very difficult to get it the first time around. So I do appreciate the comments that have been made, and it means particularly Councilor Reynolds, because she lives in the ward that's going to be affected particularly by these types of restrictions, if you would, or rules, if you would. So I do appreciate your comments, because I'm sure that if this was a real concern, you would have been speaking very loudly, yes, about it. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Delizio.
Thank you, President Cook. The comment about getting it right, that's what we're elected to do. We're elected to get it right. We're not elected to get an ordinance on the book that's 80%. Is it difficult to get them right? Yeah, sure it is, because you don't know how it's going to actually operate until it's on the books. But my concern is this council's getting a little too comfortable getting a book, an ordinance on the books, and then saying we can go back and revise it. Well, there's a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money that goes into this. We need to start to kind of hold our own bar a little bit higher when it comes to this stuff. We can't pass ordinances because people worked hard. I don't think anyone's questioning how hard the planning board worked, the zoning and land use committee worked, how hard Gary and Stephanie worked, and the whole planning department. I don't think that's a question. The focus of this ordinance needs to be safety. Council Cooper, you're absolutely right. Vice President Cooper, you're absolutely right. When we have signs that are wailing and flaring and impacting lines of sight, that's an issue. But we should be focusing on that, not some of the other stuff that's in here. And again, why are we asking business owners to keep coming back? They shouldn't have to come back. We should be able to get something where they come a minimal amount of time. So I'm not trying to sit here and say that, people didn't work hard, and it's just the opposite. I know how hard people worked, and I appreciate how hard people worked. But personally, I think we need to, continue to focus on getting it right the first time, or as close to right as we can. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this, Councilor Reynolds?
I'm just going to be brief. I think it's pretty close to right. It is a lot happening in my ward. There, a lot that we can't change because they're already on the books. The signs are up. No one likes having to come in, but businesses know this is part of what happens to them. I'm not saying it's always right. But a lot of changes were made based on the complaints. I was really against this. I thought Jack Jacoby did a great job. And he brought it to the light, and we all came back roaring, and we got a lot of what we wanted, and we've been told, quite honestly, that we can at any time ask to bring it back if we think, and I'm sure I will hear from my own ward, I'm sure transportation, I think anybody that has something to do with it, planning, building, will hear if the businesses are more than upset about it, just like the building department hears now from all of the contractors. So I think we have to put something, because there hasn't been something on the books for so long, that when it comes out, if we're too stringent, we're going to hear it, and we can come right back and say, hey, we made a little bit of a mistake, and adjust it. But for me, who sees this every single day of my life, I think it's pretty good. I think it's damn near close to right. And that's all I have for comments.
Thank you. Vice President Cooper, you want to take the helm here for a minute? I want to make a comment. Thank you.
I know, watch out. Should have given you a warning.
There's one tricky chair.
Thinking chair.
I haven't hit it. Oh,
President Cook.
thank you. This particular ordinance, as Councilor Conti reminded us several weeks ago, has been an item of discussion, argument, whatever, for going on, 14 years? I believe it is. Councilor Conti was a member of the zoning board when this first started. I think I was on the planning board at that same time. The planning board was starting to think a little bit about it at the same time. I've written my share of ordinances for the city over the last 28 years. I've been involved with them. I chaired the committee that Councilor Delicio has for 4. I chaired the ordinance subcommittee of on the planning board for a number of years before that. Any of the ordinances that are put together take a lot of effort and a lot of work. We all know that. And yet, at the same time, as I've often said, you know, they're written on paper and not etched in stone, because we know that our experience will indicate that changes are sometimes needed in them. Of all the ordinances that I've been involved in writing, I would say there's very few, if any, that we got 100% right the first time, because through experience we realize that something needs to be adjusted in it. And from that point of view, we know that times have changed in the city. In the amount of time, I mean, Councilor Blair has lived here his entire life, for example. He has seen the changes. I've lived here only for 3+ decades, and I've seen changes along that time, and that required certain ordinances to be implemented to address issues that had arisen. And this is definitely one that we know needs some sort of adjustment as we go along. As I mentioned during the committee meeting, Mr. Orasian, who oversees the planning board, the zoning board, the conservation commission, some of you have served on those other boards, know the diligence that Mr. Orasian puts forth to staying on top of those boards and being responsive to issues that come up. And this particular item is something that, from experience, is definitely needed. And my vote in support of this is not a reflection on how hard people worked or how long that it took. It's just the fact that it's something that is needed. It's something that will get us in the right direction. And again, with the experience of Mr. Orasian, I'm sure that given the 30+ years, I think he's the only department head still in that position. God bless you. I believe is the only department head who's still in a department head position that was here when I first came on board. He's a straight shooter. He believes in what he says. He works to make sure that that the ordinances are responsive to the needs of the people who live and work in the city. And I have a lot of confidence in him. So, again, it's been a long time coming. I think the time is here. So, that concludes my comments. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Cooper, Vice President Cooper. Any other comments from anybody? Okay. Ms. Dawn, I have to ask you to leave the room. I meant to do that at the beginning. The reason she's leaving, by the way, is not that we don't like her. She joined us only a couple of weeks ago, but she was not a member of the council at the time the public hearing was held. And by law, she cannot participate in the. She cannot participate in the vote if she decided. I meant to ask her to leave beforehand, and it dawned on me one of the discussions going on. I did not want to be rude to her or make her feel uncomfortable by stopping her at that point. But I was planning to ask her to leave before we voted. She has to leave for voting purposes. If there are no other comments, I did want to mention. Councilor Connie.
Mr. President,
Yes.
This is such an important ordinance that I think we should have a full council. And for that reasons, I'm going to file a charter objection.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so for those of you who are watching at home or sitting in the audience and not sure what is going on, when a charter objection is filed, that stops all the discussion on the matter for a period of no less than 7 days. So, so this matter, that's it for this particular item for this evening. Okay, so Councilor Dolan can come back, and when she comes back, then Ms. Hall's committee will resume. So let me just make mention of that.
Take it up next year.
Okay. Did you get that, Sharon?
Yep.
Okay, then hold on just a second.
I know.
Take it up next year.
Start all over.
No.
Yes, you are.
No.
Maybe at the end, I don't know, maybe it's going to have to wait till next year. I don't know.
Agnew's not going to be back for the rest of the year.
Is there a question or problem?
Question?
Point of order? What?
It's point of order.
Point of order on the process.
Okay.
President Cook, if you would explain what.
Okay. Okay. On a charter objection, and, you can stay here for this, not a problem. Just as part of your education as a new counselor. On a charter objection, and you probably have already read this in the rules of procedure, when there's a charter objection issued, that stops all discussion on the matter and vote for a period of no less than 7 days. I should add on the charter objection, if we had gone around and voted, all right, on the matter, although everybody had cast a vote, at this level, the vote is not official until the council president announced the results. It says that the motion passed or the motion failed or whatever. So the clerk would have announced the results of the vote. And in between the time she announced the results of the vote, and I went to say that the motion passed or failed, anyone, if you already voted, could say charter object, and that kills it at that particular point. So now we are having a special meeting next week. We have a regular meeting 2 weeks from today also. So there are 2 more opportunities for this to come up. Now, the problem, the issue is, what I was about to state when I recognized Mr. Conti was what the vote requirement is. Since this involves a zoning issue, which is Chapter 17, this requires a 2/3 vote of the full council. Right? So that means 8 votes out of 11 would have had to have been cast in the affirmative for this to have passed. Okay. Now, again, this can be brought up in no less than 7 days. Justice Councilor Dolan had to leave because she was not here when the matter was voted on. I did pick up some discussion relative to waiting until next year. The problem with waiting until next January is I will not be here. Councilor Hagney will not be here. Councilor Dolan will still not be able to vote on the matter. So I don't think anybody else, that's it. And Mr. Denley's gone anyways at that point. So at that point, if we were to wait until January, that means that the 2 new people who are coming on January 2nd will not be able to vote on the matter, nor would Councilor Dolan. So then we're down to 8 people, and all 8 would have to pass, vote in the affirmative for the measure to pass. Does that clarify? My intent, I will tell you at this point, is to bring this up for a vote before this term is over. Now, we do have 2 special meeting and committee meetings next week. We have a regular meeting scheduled 2 weeks from today. In theory, we have always tended to not meet between Christmas and New Year's, and in the years when there's a change due to the election, we usually don't meet until the new term begins, which would be January 2nd. The 26th of December, the day of Christmas, City Hall is closed, so we would not be meeting on that night anyways. But there are, I already counted this up a few weeks ago, there are, in case I needed it, there are 6 other days possible in which if I have to call for a special meeting, I can call for a special meeting. And from doing some historical research, most all of you, well, Councilor Dolan may not know this, but history is my thing. There have been 3 occasions that I know of that on Inauguration Day, prior to the inauguration ceremony, the council had to meet in special session to vote on matters before the inauguration because there's a change, coming up or whatever. So I've always tried to give measures that come before this board a fighting chance. As you all know, we've delayed votes sometimes to people's aggravation or frustration. But I've always tried to give a measure a fighting chance. This is in that category. I am planning to bring this up for a vote before this term is over. I know that Councilor Hagney could not be here. Some of you know that why she's not here, I'm not going to announce it publicly. Again, at some point before this term is over, be it a week from today or 2 weeks from today, or if I have to call for a special meeting, I am planning to bring this up for a vote again before this term is over, because I don't think it's fair to go to leave this to a situation where only 8 people can vote, and all 8 would have to be voting in the affirmative if we wait until the new term begins. Does that clarify, explain to everybody?
Yes.
So again, the charter objection by Mr. Conti, you have that, right?
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, any other questions? Okay, so, Council Hall, the chair recognizes you have one more motion.
I do. Thank you. I move to approve a letter of non-opposition from the Attleboro Municipal Council to Catherine Committee, President and CEO of Beacon Compassion Center, 900 Washington Street, Suite A, Norwood, Mass., relative to locating a registered marijuana dispensary at 30 Franklin McKay Road, Attleboro, Mass.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
The only comments that I have is we just discussed this, and everybody did get a copy of the information that is required in order for us to make that vote. And it was voted out of council just like less than an hour ago. Committee, excuse me. I don't have any other comments.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or concerns? Council Reynolds?
Because this is new, correct?
Yes, this is new.
Isn't it? I mean,
It was, right. Yeah, she can. This had come in a while back. However, there has been no public hearing on this. This was actually the subject of the committee meeting tonight, which Councilor Dolan is a sitting member. So I do not have an issue with Councilor Dolan voting if she feels that she understands the matter and so forth, or unless somebody has a viable concern. Are you comfortable? And I think that it was explained earlier that as part of the process for registered marijuana dispensaries, there has to be a host agreement executed by the city first. And then once that is executed and we know that it's in compliance with the zoning, then the next step is a letter of either non-opposition or a letter of support. In this case, they've requested a letter of non-opposition from the council. And then the next step forward somewhere down the line is, among other things, the actual filing of the special permit by the applicant, which will then require a public hearing and so forth. And we have to set once a special permit application is filed, we have a given number of days in which we have to call for a public hearing. So, and that will not take place this term, I'm quite sure. Okay. So, are there any other questions or comments on this particular matter? All right. Councilor Dolan, do you feel comfortable voting on this?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So this matter requires a roll call vote. This is just a simple majority. And the vote will begin with Councilor Delicio. A yes vote is to approve the letter, a no vote is not to approve. Okay, everybody clear on the voting? Okay, so again, roll call vote beginning with Councilor Delicio, please.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Ms. Hall? Yes. Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Parika?
Yes.
Vice President Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes.
10 yeas, no nays.
The motion passes. Anything else, Councilor?
No, President Cook, thank you. And that is all the business I have for Zoning and Land Use Committee. Thank goodness. This evening, and I call for a meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Before I recognize Councilor Conti, I just wanted to, for the Beacon representatives who are here, just so you're aware of it, all of the votes that we take are held for 24 hours in case there's a reconsideration filed. That means that sometime on Thursday, the mayor will sign the vote. And then at that point, I will, at some point thereafter, this is a form letter, as you know, and I will be signing it on behalf of the council, and then you'll be notified accordingly. Okay, all right. So that's all the business for before us involving you tonight. So unless you want to stay and watch the fun, you can leave. Okay, you're welcome. Thank you, Councilor Conti.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Reporting for Capital Improvement City Development, the committee has no business to bring before the council this evening, but we look forward to a meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Councilor Parika.
Thank you, President Cook. Reporting for Transportation and Traffic this evening. I have multiple motions before us this evening. From the supplemental docket of November 21st, 2017, I entertain a motion to hold a public hearing on Tuesday, December 19th, 2017, relative to amending Section 10-5.2A prohibited on certain streets as follows. 1, delete Beagle Club Road, both sides of the entire street, including the cul-de-sac, through January 1st, 2018, with mandatory council review at the second regular meeting of September. And 2, insert Beagle Club Road, both sides of the entire street, including the cul-de-sac, through February 28th, 2018.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments?
Just
Please.
very briefly, we did discuss this at length during my committee meeting last week. This gives us, it gives us a little bit more time to work out the appropriate language to craft a seasonal parking restriction. So this way, the sundown clause now would be taken out and a new one would be implemented. And during that time, my committee will be working diligently on crafting the appropriate language.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or concerns? Just for point of clarification. So next we get this public hearing. The focus, just so you're all aware of it, the focus will solely be on moving the date. We're not going to be talking about parking or whatever. It'll only be on that. So just so everybody's aware of that.
Thank you for your clarity.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So we will not be taking comments relative to the pros and cons of it. That will be at the February one.
Correct.
Hopefully. Or will be.
If I may,
Yes.
President Cook, so it is for December 19th, not next week. So just so we're clear, it is very specific to this particular language. We're not discussing, as you stated, the pros and cons of what we're doing here. That won't happen until my committee crafts the language, and then we can call for a public hearing with regards to the language and refer to traffic study.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, this matter requires a voice vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 10 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes.
Thank you very much, President Cook. From the docket of November 22nd, 2016, I move to strike the following item from the docket of November 22nd, 2016, delete in its entirety and replace with the following: 10-3.3 temporary parking rules, and I request to waive the reading with regards to that.
I agree with that.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments?
We discussed this in committee. This was kind of a complementary piece to the parking restriction at Beagle Club Road, but doesn't have, through research, we've discovered that the implementation citywide would not be effective.
Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes 10-0.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
From the docket of November 22nd, 2016, I move to strike the following item from the docket of November 22nd, 2016, that this honorable body work in conjunction with the Traffic Study Commission, the police chief, the superintendent of schools, the DPW director, the principal of Willett Elementary School, and residents in the neighborhood to address well-documented traffic concerns in and around Willett Elementary School, including but not limited to the speed limit and creating a safe environment for pickup and drop-off of students in this area.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
As stated in the committee meeting last week, we do have a commission of people that are trying to work on this. I would have the expectation through SERPED and that we will be bringing back business with regards to this at some future date.
Okay. Okay. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 10 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
From the docket of November 22nd, 2016, I move to strike the following item from the docket of November 22nd, 2016, an email from Thomas N. Turgeon regarding the speed limit at Willett Elementary School and drivers going through stop signs without stopping.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
No, sir.
Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 10 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
From the docket of March 11th, 2011, I move to strike the following item from the docket of March 1st, 2011. A letter sent by the Moran family, residents of May Street, to the municipal council with their concerns about the following. And I look to waive the reading, please.
I agree with that. We'll waive that reading.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
I have to send my apologies to my fellow councilors. I did, during my committee meeting, promise to forward an email exchange between Superintendent Lance and DOT. I will certainly send that along with tonight when I get home. So my apologies with regards to that.
Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes 10 yeas and 0 nays.
Thank you very much. And finally, from the docket of, I believe finally. Thank you. From the docket of March 1st, 2011, I move to strike the following item from the docket of March 1st, 2011, to reduce the traffic by making May Street a one-way and Angeline Street a one-way of opposite directions, and to reduce the amount of vehicles turning onto May Street from southbound left turn lane or Route 1 South, and to refer this matter to the Traffic Study Commission for study and recommendation.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other comments or concerns? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Was there any opposition?
No.
Oh, that is it. Okay. So that I heard 10 yeas, no nays. Motion passes.
Thank you very much, President Cook. That
You're
concludes the
welcome.
business for the License Committee for this evening, and request a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
All right. Thank you. Vice President Cooper.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Reporting for Personnel and Human Services from the docket of December 5th, 2017, I move to approve the request of the mayor to transfer $23,234.08 from account Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to election earned time regarding the need for funds to cover the retirement buyout of vacation and sick time of Mary Ann Drain upon her retirement on December 29th, 2017.
Second?
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
This was discussed in committee, and it is a buyout, and we wish Mary Ann well on her retirement.
Thank you. Are there any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote, and the vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Vice President Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Delizio?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes.
10 yeas, no nays.
The motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of December 5th, 2017, I move to confirm the appointment of Ron Monroe, 5 O'Donnell Drive, to fill an unexpired term on the Municipal Building Commission, term to expire February 2018.
Second?
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
Yes, we will have Mr. Monroe come to the next committee meeting, and that's been confirmed, so if we could be first, that would be great. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Are there any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, this matter requires a voice vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. 10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. From the docket of August 18th, 2016, I move to strike the following item from the docket of August 18th, 2006, that the Personnel Director review the personnel rules and regulations for employees not covered by collective bargaining agreements, exempt employees, and that revisions, updates, or changes be made as appropriate with the approval of the Municipal Council in accordance with Section 13-6 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro.
Second?
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
No, we discussed this last week in committee.
Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
9 yeas, 1 nay. 9 yeas, 1 nay. The motion passes.
Thank you. I move to strike the following, from the docket of March 1st, 2016, I move to strike the following item from the docket of March 1st, 2 letters from constituents dated to President Cook dated February 8th and 11th, 2016 regarding the anti-bullying ordinance.
Second?
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
No, we spoke about this last week in committee.
Okay, thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 10 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of February 2nd, 2016, I move to strike the following item from the docket of February 2nd, 2016. 2 communications to President Cook from constituents, disabled residents of Gardner Terrace.
Second?
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
No.
Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 10 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes.
Thank you. I move to strike from the docket of December 22nd, 2015. I move to strike the following item from the docket of December 22nd, 2015. 5 communications received from Attleboro citizens regarding the status of a proposed ordinance concerning bullying of elderly and disabled residents. 2 dated December 4th, 2015, 1 dated December 5th, 2015, 1 dated December 7th, 2015, and 1 dated December 15th, 2015.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
No.
Anybody have any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 10 yeas, 0 nays, the motion passes.
Thank you. I move to strike the following item from the docket of December 15th, 2015. Communication from Attleboro citizens regarding the status of a proposed ordinance concerning bullying of elderly and disabled residents.
Second?
Thank you, the motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
No, sir, there are not.
Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 10 yeas, 0 nays, the motion passes.
From the docket of March 17th, 2015, I move to strike the following item from the docket of March 17th, 2015, that the council continue to investigate the anti-bullying issue and plan for further discussions with the Council on Human Rights.
Second?
Thank you, the motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
No.
Okay. Anybody have any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 10 yeas, 0 nays, the motion passes.
From the supplemental docket of June 3rd, 2014, I move to strike the following item from the docket of June 3rd, 2014, amend the personnel rules and regulations as follows. Article 38, correct, did I get it right?
Yes. No, it's 18.
18. Yeah, 10.
10.
5, 3, 18.
18.
Reimbursement for education courses, insert new section. Section 2, if an employee separates their employment with the city within 5 years of reimbursed course, the employee shall then be responsible for the repayment of such funds.
Second?
Thank you, the motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
Yes, only that we, for this and the next one, I have this same comment. We spoke last week. Councilor Conti brought up the issue of contracts were part of the Modernization Act, and I sent to all of you and Linda snippets of each of the sections, and it is in there, but it's specific to the treasurer, the assessor, and the collector. It doesn't broadly paint across all exempt employees. But there are some good points in that act that we may want to consider at some time.
Okay. Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
9 yeas, 1 nay. Ms. Conti, the motion passes.
From the docket of January 7th, 2014, I move to strike the following item from the docket of January 7th, 2014, to amend Section 13-6 Personnel Rules and Regulations of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro as follows, and I'd like to waive the reading as I did read it in
Second?
committee.
I agree with the waiving of the reading. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
No.
Are there any other concerns or comments?
No.
Hearing none, we'll have a roll call, a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Thank you. 9 yeas, 1 nay. The motion passes.
Thank you. That concludes the business for Personnel and Human Services, but would call for a committee meeting next week at the appropriate time.
Thank you.
If I may, if we could be first, if nobody else has guests.
Yeah, actually, I was just going to say, I know that I had already mentioned to Councilor Dolan about allowing her to go first because she had just coming in. However, given that this is going to be a lot shorter than your guest, I'm going to allow him to go first. Usually when we have guests, we try to get as with public hearings, the ones that I anticipate being shorter, I tend to do those first. So I just wanted to let you know. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Councilor Delicio.
Thank you, President Cook.
You're
Report for
welcome.
Budget and Appropriations. I have 2 motions from the docket of December 5th, 2017. I move to approve the request of the mayor to appropriate $500,000 from undesignated fund balance free cash general government to the following: $250,000 to personnel health insurance HMOs, $100,000 to personnel workers compensation, $150,000 to personnel workers compensation fire.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
It was discussed last week in committee, but this is, as the FY 2018 general government budget was submitted on April 27th. we had a feeling it would result in a greater likelihood of unforeseen health insurance qualifying events. So between open enrollment, permissible qualifying events, there have been 30 planned migrations that now require additional funding in our health insurance line. There's also a need for additional funding in the city's workers' comp lines due to a sharp increase in liability for workers' comp's claims. So this will accommodate and take care of all of that.
Thank you. Are there any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Delicio.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Vice President Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes.
10 yeas, no nays.
The motion passes.
Thank you. And finally, also from the docket of December 5th, 2017, I move to approve the request of the mayor to increase the expenditure amount in Fund 2614, Recreation revolving to $200,000.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
There are, so this is a request from Recreation Director Dennis Walsh regarding the need to increase the expenditure limit from $175,000 to $200,000. This is necessitated by the fact that there's an increase in some of the capital expenditures that are coming down the line. In order for Mr. Walsh to be able to pay for some of these projects, gives him the autonomy he needs by increasing this to $200,000.
Okay. Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Vice President Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes.
10 yeas, no nays.
The motion passes.
Thank you. And President Cook, I would like to call for a committee meeting next week at the appropriate time for budget and appropriations.
Thank you. Councilor Reynolds.
Thank you, President Cook. And
You're
before
welcome.
I start my reporting, I'd like to first apologize to my colleague, Councilor Conti, for my frustrated groan when he charter objected. It was inappropriate, and I apologize for that, Councilor.
Apologies.
The groan was inappropriate, not the job.
Yeah, not the,
Apologies
definitely the groaner, just the, so
Not the
totally
first time
please
you've
accept.
groaned at me.
No, that's true, but more loudly this time. Okay, so reporting for City Property and Claims Committee, and I will ask you, President Cook, if I can waive some of the number
Yes.
readings. Thank you. From the docket of December 5th, 2017, I move to approve the request of the mayor to declare the following Attleboro Public Schools food service line equipment as surplus and available for disposition. 2 Volras steam tables and related stainless steel sheets, one for Hyman Fine, one for Hill Roberts. Atlas steam table and stainless counters, related stainless steel sheets at Thatcher. A servo lift Eastern steam table and related stainless steel sheet for Willett, and another Atlas steam table and related stainless steel sheet with one stainless at Studley.
Second?
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
No. No, there are none.
Okay, thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Delicio.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Vice President Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes.
10 yeas, no nays.
The motion passes.
From the docket of December 5th, 2017, I move to approve the request of the mayor to transfer $208 from citywide reserve fund for transfer to fire bills previous year regarding the need to pay an invoice from Compton Door.
Second?
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
No.
Are there any other concerns or comments? Now we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Blair, and as this involves a previous year bill, this requires a 2/3 vote for passage.
Okay, Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Vice President Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes.
10 yeas, no nays.
The motion passes.
From the supplemental docket of November 21st, 2017, I move to approve the request of the mayor to transfer $581.03 from citywide reserve fund for transfer to citywide military retirement credit regarding the need for funds to cover the expense of an employee during his military deployment.
Second?
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
No, there are not.
Okay. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Delicio.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Vice President Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes,
10 yeas, no nays.
the motion passes.
From the supplemental docket of November 21st, 2017, I move to approve the request of the mayor to transfer $3,542.20 from citywide reserve fund for transfer to collector recordings regarding the need for funds for 117 accounts to be recorded at the Registry of Deeds due to the tax-taking process.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
No, there are none.
Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Vice President Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes,
10 yeas, no nays.
the motion passes.
From the supplemental docket of November 21st, 2017, I move to approve the request of the mayor in accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to accept a donation of $50 in Stop and Shop gift certificates from Larry Qualia to the Veterans Department.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
No, there are not.
Concerns or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 10 yeas, 0 nays, the motion passes.
From the supplemental docket of November 21st, 2017, I move to approve the request of the mayor in accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to accept the donation of $500 in Stop and Shop gift certificates from the Attleboro Elks Lodge, number 1014, to the Veterans Department.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
No, there are not.
Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
From the docket.
0. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, from the docket of December 22nd, 2015, I move to strike the following item from the docket of December 22nd, 2015, that the Attleboro Municipal Council supports the proposal of the Attleboro Police Chief to designate an area near the police station with electronic surveillance for residents to engage in transactions for the sale of goods.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
No, there are not.
Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
9 yeas, 1 nay. The motion passes.
From the docket of December 17th, 2013, I move to strike the following item from the docket of December 13, 2013, to request, did I do that? December 13, 2013, to request this municipal council review, discuss, consider reducing the dollar amount in sections 2-12 and sections 2-13 as follows. Eliminate $5,000 in section 2-12, A, B, C, and D, and replace with $2,000 in section 2-13. Replace $5,000 in the first and second sentences with $2,000.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments?
No, there are not.
Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 10 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes.
From the docket of February 7th, 2012, I move to strike the following item from the docket of February 7th, 2012, to investigate relocating the Hebronville plaque from Dolores Quatnar Quadro.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments,
No,
please?
there are not.
Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 10 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes.
And that is all the business for the City Property and Claims Committee. I'd like to call a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Councilor Dolan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Reporting to Licenses Committee, I have 4 motions. I move to approve the application for a 2018 renewal automatic amusement coin-op license from the Portuguese American Club, 65 Prairie Avenue, Attleboro.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
No.
Anybody have any concerns or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 10 yeas, 0 nays, the motion passes.
From the docket of December 5th, 2017, I move to approve the application for a 2018 renewal automatic amusement coin-op license from JR's Bar and Grill, 147 Pine Street, for 2 pool tables and 1 jukebox.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments?
There are not.
Okay, thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 10-0.
From the supplemental docket of November 21st, I move to approve the application for a 2018 renewal Class 2 auto license from Best Buy Automotive and Tires, 925 and 931 Washington Street, Attleboro, for 4 customer parking spaces and 20 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
There are not.
Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 10 yeas, 0 nays, the motion passes.
From the docket of November 7th, 2017, I move to approve the application for a new Class 2 auto license from R&D Auto Sales, 116 Dickens Street, Attleboro, for 5 customer parking spaces and 8 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
There are not.
Okay. Are there any other concerns or comments? Council Breaker.
Thank you, President Cook. Just the D of R&D Auto Sales was here earlier this evening to be here for the vote. I did express to him that what the process is moving forward, so he chose to leave for the evening. Just,
Okay.
you know, that it would get voted out of in front of the
Okay.
full council, and he would have his license within at the end of next week. So,
Okay.
so.
All right, thank you. Are there any other concerns or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 10 yeas, 0 nays, the motion passes.
That concludes my business for licenses. I'd like to call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Well done. So you're first time through with a lot of these things. Councilor Jackson.
Thank you, President Cook.
You're welcome.
Reporting for Public Works Committee on the docket of December 5th, 2017. I move to approve the request of the mayor to appropriate $72,466.70 from the Water Enterprise Fund retained earnings account to the Water Enterprise Fund replaced truck account for funding to purchase a new Ford F-550 diesel 4x4 dump truck with plow package and accessories to replace a 30-year-old 1987 GMC 3500 dump truck.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
Thank you. This was discussed last week in committee, and this truck is of no more use, does not have any more life to it, I guess. And the new truck has actually been in capital improvements for quite some time. So I'd like everyone to vote for this because the winter is coming, and we're going to need a little, make sure we have enough trucks on hand to take care of everything we need to do to have a safe winter.
Okay. Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, this matter requires a roll call vote, and the vote will begin with Councilor Delicio.
Mr. Delizio?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Vice President Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes.
10 yeas, no nays.
And the motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of December 5th, 2017, I move to approve the request of the mayor to appropriate $17,500 from the Wastewater Enterprise Fund returned earnings account to the Wastewater Professional Services regarding the need to replenish funds on previously expended to pay for an unanticipated infiltration and inflow report that is due at the end of the calendar year to satisfy a Mass DEP requirement.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
This was discussed last week also in committee, and this is a state requirement that we have to do by the end of the year.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I knew I'd end up having to deal with one more unfunded mandate before I left. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Delizio?
Yes.
President Cook?
No.
9 yeas, 1 nay.
The motion passes.
Didn't see that one coming. Oh, goodness.
Did that feel good, President Cook?
From the supplemental docket of November 7th, 2017. I move to allow Moran's Incorporated leave to withdraw without prejudice relative to the application from Moran's, Inc. of 95 Frank Mossberg Drive, Attleboro, Mass. to discontinue a portion of Frank Mossberg Drive in the area of the half cul-de-sac containing 7,236 square feet of land, more or less, according to the plan. Said premises located on Assessors Plat, number 146, lot number 6B.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Any comments, please?
The applicant has decided to pursue other ways to expand their business.
Okay, thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, this matter requires a voice vote unless anybody wants a roll call vote on this one. Okay, then we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 10 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes.
Thank you. I just want to have a couple of comments I'd like to make, if I could, please.
Okay.
I first of all want to thank Ms. Hegney for taking care of my business last week. I do appreciate that. And I wish her a speedy recovery and hope she's doing well with her healing process. And secondly, I just wanted to say that I was very surprised to see that we were losing another superintendent. Superintendent of Public Works, Lance Hill, as you all know, is leaving. Not surprised, but I'm very happy for him, and I wish him the very best in his new career. And I have appreciated working with him. He's been very helpful to me because this has been my first term as Public Works, and I have enjoyed working with him thoroughly, but I do wish him very, very well. Thank you, and I have no further business this evening for Public Works, but I would like to have a committee meeting next week at the appropriate time, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Blair.
Reporting from Public Safety and Emergency Management, I have 2 motions this evening. From the docket of December 5th, 2017, I move to approve the request of the mayor to transfer $6,569 from account 1210100-519917 Police Hazardous Duty Pay to account 1210100-530101 Police Professional Services regarding the need for funds to have a contractor identify, isolate, and tag fiber cable line within the police department network.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
We discussed, but just quickly, this is so they can connect to the rest of the city's fiber optic.
Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Delicio.
Mr. Delizio?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Vice President Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes,
President Cook?
Yes.
10 yeas, no nays.
The motion passes.
thank you.
You're
From the
welcome.
Supplemental docket of November 21st, 2017, I move to approve the request of the mayor to transfer $6,214.02 from account 1124100-578300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer for funding to train and outfit 1 police recruit to the following accounts: $3,700 to account 1210100-532012 Police Academy tuition, $1,000 to account 1210100-558310 Police uniforms, $1,346.87 to account 1210100-530104 Police medical consultation, and $167.15 to account 1210100-558208 Police supplies.
Second. Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
It's pretty self-explanatory. 1 new police officer, 1 expense.
Okay. Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Vice President Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Delizio?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes.
10 yeas, no nays.
The motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no other business.
Mr. Blair, I believe you have one more.
You're absolutely right, Frank.
Thank you.
From the docket of August 18, 2016, I move to strike the following item from the docket of August 18, 2016. Letter from Ellie Sugar, 11 Manchester Street, Attleboro, Mass., regarding the increasing installation and use of outdoor fire pits by individuals on their property in Attleboro.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
Now, we discussed it in committee last week.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, matter will be a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 10 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome.
We have no other business this evening. Public Safety Emergency Management, we request a committee meeting next week at the appropriate time.
Thank you. There is no old business, but there are some items of new business from Mr. Conti.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome.
On the docket of December 19, 2017, I move that the following matter be referred to the appropriate committee for study and recommendation, that under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 64N, Section 3, the municipal impose a local sales tax upon the sale or transfer of marijuana or marijuana products by a marijuana retailer operating within the city or town to anyone other than a marijuana establishment at the rate of not greater than 2% of the total sales price received by the marijuana retailer as a consideration for the sale of marijuana or marijuana products. A marijuana retailer shall pay a local sales tax imposed under this section to the commissioner at the same time and in the same manner as the sales tax due to the Commonwealth.
Second.
Thank you. I'm going to declare the motion not in order. And let me explain why. As you know, this is a brief background. I had brought in under new business a couple of weeks ago. Councilor Blair was a co-sponsor. I was acting mayor at the time, so I got to actually read it, about creating a ordinance that would deal with marijuana establishments. I've been doing some research. I've been working on a draft ordinance, and Mass General Law, Chapter 64N, Section 3 no longer exists. It has been, it was wiped out as part of the new the new law that they're working on, or the regulations that they are developing. So, plus, when we get to the point of having an actual ordinance, that would be one of the items that would be, we would automatically, or would be including probably with an ordinance on marijuana establishments, accepting the law itself, which was signed back in July. There was a lot of work between the House and the Senate, and then it was finally resolved at that point. So, so this, it actually wiped out 64N Section 3. So I'm going to declare that not in order if you'd like to do some more research, but I can tell you that items along that would be included in any ordinance that would be developed dealing with the use of a marijuana establishment, which is the term the state is using in the general laws for recreational marijuana. Yes, Mr. Conti.
So it was there when I looked at it 3 weeks ago, and it must have been rescinded since. And I agree, I concur that we could impose a city sales tax upon the definition of a commercial marijuana establishment. But this too was to be for medical marijuana as well, so that the operation would have paid a 3% city tax under our agreement, and that the person purchasing the marijuana would pay 2% as a sales tax. So because you've declared the motion is not in order, I will do further research to determine whether or not a similar or appropriate intent piece of new business can come in at a later time.
Yeah, as I said, that would be fine. Again, I know with the, I expect that the next council will be the one who will be involved in developing an ordinance, given the fact that's what the Attorney General has been recommending for a long time, that, and some other things related to it. But I can tell you that with with that new law, just from some of the research that I was doing, it's going to be, they changed the law that was approved by the voters, because the voters approved that it would be a rate not greater than 2%. When they changed the law during this past year, they actually increased it up to 3%. And the total amount that they're looking at between when you add in the 10%, let's see, there's a state tax rate of 10% on the amount. But basically, what it's going to come down to, it'll be a 20% overall, 20% tax. At 17, it was going to be 6.25, which is the state sales tax, a 3.75% excise tax on top of that. Then there's a state tax rate of 10%, and with a local, it kind of, let's see, it would cap it at 20% maximum. Right. So it's 10.75%. Local option is up to 3%, and then it's a total of 20%. That's what was in the law that they passed earlier this. I think it was on July 29th. I think was the date. But from some of the research that I was doing, that's what they were looking at doing and so forth. And they did wipe that part out. So, but if you'd like to do some more research, and I think in our I would suggest you also look at our medical marijuana, see what we have in there for the percentage, because I think we accepted the state, the state code also. But okay.
So moving on from the docket of December 19th, 2017, I move that the following matter be referred to the appropriate committee for study and recommendation, that the annual senior exemption for those meeting income and savings requirements be raised from $600 to $1,000 as a local adoption to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
Yes, Mr. President. Each year, approximately a couple hundred or a few hundred Attleboro residents who are truly poor and living in their houses take advantage of an ordinance that was passed by our forefathers to allow them, if they meet state recommendations, to get $600 off of their real estate tax bill. And each year, they must apply for this exemption each year with the assessor's office, and they must provide very detailed confidential information to the assessor's office every year to obtain this senior exemption. And the Board of Assessors personally reviews every application. So in the assessing department in Attleboro, the clerks vet the applications. They research to make sure that the seniors who have applied for the exemptions qualify. And on the tip from the assessor, when he appeared during our public hearing on the tax classification, he mentioned that maybe this is a good option to help seniors in rising single-family tax environment, to give them a little bit more relief and to give them a $1,000 exemption instead of $600. Now, granted, that $400 difference is made up by everybody else who pays taxes. So it's not a free boat. It's basically us saying that the state says that we can give up to $1,000. And that is a recent change, because in the beginning they said you can give up to $600. So in the beginning, the council did what they could. And so I'm entering this new business to ask the council to again do what we can and give those in need, and those in need are highly vetted, an additional $400 off of their annual real estate tax bill if they qualify. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Councilor Jackson.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Conte, I think this is a great idea.
Thank you.
So I'm so happy to see it go into committee. Interesting to see if it's something we can do.
We can do it.
Yeah, it's a good motion. Thanks for bringing it out.
Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 10 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes. I'm going to refer that matter to the Ordinance, Elections, and Legislative Matters Committee.
From the docket of December 19, 2017, I move that the following matter be referred to the appropriate committee for study and recommendation. That all commercial and industrial classification accounts in the city with personal property assessments lower than $10,000 shall be exempt from personal property taxation. Said exemption shall be a local adoption under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 59, taxation under Section 18, exemption under Section 5.
Second?
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
Yes, Mr. President. I have Parika second that.
Yes, I do too.
Okay. Good effort, Mr. Delesio.
That's just louder.
Yes, Massachusetts has taxed personal property in this state since 1620. And not every state in the Union taxes personal property. There are 19, last time I looked, and it changes constantly, there are 19 states that don't tax personal property at all. In the assessor's office, when Stanley was here for our tax classification, he stated that he would support this measure. And it's a measure which I introduced 4 years ago, and I think other councilors had some very strong feelings about, both positive and negative, and we wound up with a $7,500 threshold. The state allows us $10,000, and I'm asking the council to consider $10,000 to alleviate the workload from the assessing department, who's picking up some of the workload from the revaluation company. So two things are going on here. Number one, at our tax rate, our commercial tax rate, a $10,000 personal property tax bill is not a lot of money. It's not going to do a lot to help small businesses, but whereas the city of Taunton does this $10,000 deduction, and most other cities our size have this $10,000 deduction, I think that it's wise that we adopt the same, and that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Councilor Parika.
Thank you, President Cook.
You're welcome.
I couldn't support this more. When we had this initial discussion, when we shifted it from 5 to 7,500, and I believe that it was Councilor Hall that made the recommendation to go to the 7,500. I was very much in support of the 10. So I'm looking forward to this also being assigned to committee and having this come out. So thank you for that.
Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 10 yeas, 0 nays. Motion passes.
From the docket of December 19, 2017, I move that the following matter be referred to.
Oh, excuse me. I'm going to refer that matter to the Ordinance, Elections, and Legislative Matters Committee. Thank you.
I knew that,
But nobody else did.
but nobody else did. I move that the following matter be referred to the appropriate committee for study and recommendation, that a solar warning lighted sign be installed at the intersection of Lower County Street and Reed Street to warn traffic northbound on Lower County that there is a four-way intersection over the hill.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
Yes, this is in Councilor Cooper's ward, and there was a death there of Mrs.
You want to mention the name or just?
I won't mention her name. I won't mention her name. Thank you. And when I was campaigning 2 years ago, or 4 years ago, or 6 years ago, a wonderful family that lives on the eastern side of County Street asked me if there was anything that we could do as a council to put up a sign, and I made the recommendation to the committee. John Clover came in front of the council, provided us with some information, and it died. It disappeared. It totally evaporated into thin air. I couldn't find any record of it anywhere. So I recently had another constituent up in Ward 5 that was asking for a sign, and I told them to not get up their hopes, that signs go up with great trepidation and trial, And 2 weeks later, after informing the ward counselor that they needed to sign, the sign was up. So I went to the ward council and I said, what can we do to get our lighted sign down on County Street, which is a public safety issue, people die there. And she recommended this, and thank you, Councilor Jackson, for your counseling, because I'm hoping that this works. It's a very dangerous situation. The speeds reached on Lower County Street are frightening. And that concludes my comment.
Thank you, Councilor Cooper.
Thank you. Thank you, Council Conti, for bringing this in. I'm hopeful that it won't move at the same pace that the last one did, and as you said, it just poof, evaporated. There is a similar situation in the town of Plainville. Many of us know the intersection of Route 1 and George Street, and there was a death there, and within a very short period of time, they put up separators in the middle of Route 1, and then somebody went around them and caused yet another accident, so they made them longer. So when we want things to move fast, they can move fast. So I'm hopeful that this can move fast. And you have my full support in anything we can do to make it move fast. Let's do that. And that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Johnson, do you have your hand up?
Thank you. I just
And then
wanted
Councilor
to make a clarification point to Mr. Conti. I'm Ward 4.
Sorry.
This is Ward 5.
Sorry.
This is Ward 5.
Thank you, Councilor Prater.
Thank you very much. I have the expectation, because it says it on my piece of paper, that it's being referred to transportation and traffic. We do have a traffic study commission meeting on Monday, so we can certainly bring this up. Is it possible? My apologies, I just need some specific clarification of what that four-way intersect, like the street names, of what the four-way stop is.
So, if I may, Mr. President.
Yeah, either that, or I was going to say you could just provide that information later.
I will provide you with that information.
It's actually, it's not a complete four-way, it's kind of like a staggered four-way, Z type. Correct,
Okay. So if I may just.
I'm sorry, Mr. Conti, why don't you explain that? That'd be easier.
So if you are on.
Hold on. It says a solar warning lighted sign to be installed at the intersection of Lower County and Reed Street to warn traffic northbound on Lower County that there's a four-way intersection over the hill. So if I may make the request at this time, that if we can look this up obviously on our Google Maps and things like that, but if I could have as much more specific information about what streets you're referring to, I have the expectation that that is information that would be requested of me at the time of the meeting. Also, I have the expectation it would be assigned to the Traffic Study Commission, and would like to extend an invitation to my fellow councilors to come to that to express your concerns to the committee. Monday.
At 6 o'clock.
I'll be
I
there.
believe that President Cook will be there.
I will be there on a ward matter.
Yes.
So to the public, in case the public doesn't understand, and to Councilor Parika, if you are on County Street and you're traveling south and you go past the Stony Lee Golf Course on the right-hand side, the next intersection you hit is the intersection that I'm talking about.
Right.
And the problem that we have is that cars coming out of Rhode Island from Lower County Street is a long stretch of industrial zoned area on both sides of the road. No one's ever down there paying attention, so these cars come screaming up Lower County Street. And just after V-Tron, there is a slight rise in the hill, and just after it is this four-way intersection. And so what happened in this horrible death was a car coming out of Rhode Island, traveling at a high rate of speed, was not aware that there was a four-way intersection, and the person crossing County Street could not see over the hill to see a car speeding up Lower County Street, and was instantly killed. And that's going to happen again. So the idea is to put a lit solar light on top of the hill, so that drivers coming from Rhode Island north on County Street will see that there's a four-way intersection even at night by a lit sign, so that they will have the opportunity to put on their brakes and prevent something terrible from happening. But I will send you the GPS coordinates of the location of that sign.
If I may redirect, I don't think that'll be necessary. I appreciated your explanation with regards to that, and that would be helpful when we speak to the traffic study commission. Again, please feel free to attend so that you can express those concerns directly to the TSC.
Yeah, one of the things that makes this intersection tricky is that when you're coming in that direction, it's not, when we think of a four-way, we think of a cross. And it isn't, because there's a street on the right, whose name just escaped me, when you're heading inbound from Rhode Island, comes down from, what is the name of the street? Reed? No, it's not Reed.
Both read.
They're both Reed.
Yes.
That's right, right, but they're staggered. So it's really kind of like a dogleg type of thing, so it's, and that in itself is confusing to any driver, so. Any other, Mr. Cooper, I'm sorry.
No, that was mine.
Okay, thank you. All right, so if there are no other questions or comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. I am going to refer that to, obviously, to the Transportation and Traffic Committee and Council Krieger. Would you like to make a motion to refer that to the Traffic Study Commission?
Yes, sir. If you would please refer that to the Traffic Study Commission, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, and is there a second to that?
Second.
Council Krieger, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Second, approved. Motion passes 10 to nothing on that. And, okay. So that does conclude the council business for this evening. Before we leave, I just want to mention very quickly, first I want to thank Mr. Vard for being our acting clerk tonight in the absence of Mr. Withers, so thanks for being here. We didn't keep you too late. And then next week, we are having the special meeting for us, and then we'll go into the committee meetings afterwards. I don't anticipate the public hearings necessarily going that long. And then when we do the committees, we will start with the Personnel Committee first, because you have one guest for a meet and greet, and then we'll be going on to the License Committee after that, because that will be the lengthier discussion and so forth. So thank you all for your efforts, and I believe that's all that the business for the Municipal Council for December 5th. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. The motion's in order. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned at 9:06. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Vard, for being here.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Same way you just read. For the board units, for the, can I have a copy